Hi.
How's it
Hey
going?
man.
Good.
Hey, I was trying to find my headphones, but no, yeah. Sorry, I'm late for like 3 minutes, but how's
That's
everybody?
a
Good. Also, 4 minutes is not late.
yeah.
So don't worry. I was just looking. I was like, is he late? I don't think so. We're good. We're just talking. I didn't realize I haven't had another kid. So I was
Yeah.
catching up on
Oh.
that.
Just making the art and making the babies.
It's a great life.
Um, huh?
No, no, I was like, oh, it sounds like a great life.
Yeah, and or like I think one of my friends said it's your bio art practice.
Uh,
It's like another
Oh,
dimension of your practice, making duplicates of yourself, or
oh,
like,
totally. Yeah.
you
Actually,
know.
whenever I started, I used to do art, not like art handling. What was it? It was like a studio assistant for an artist,
Mm,
and this was super early, and I was kind of like, thinking about how like this kind of side of like making art. There's like a self promotion to it, and applying the
mm,
things and all the
mm.
things. And I don't know if I already mentioned this to you, but she said me that and she was like, Sergio, like think of your art as a child. So you
Mm,
wanted to be like, in the best
mm,
places possible, and you wanted to, like to go to the best schools, or like reach all these different places, and then like at
mm,
some point you wanted to hopefully it'll take care of you after
mm,
and I was
Whoa.
like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, like how I don't know, like there's this like I mean,
mm,
these spending, because he also said the spending of resources, the spending of time, the
mm.
nurturing. But I mean, it's obviously completely different because, it's like, also what she said, and for that to have a relationship with the world without you.
Mm. Wow.
Whoa.
Is this person a mom?
She is, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Her name is Sarah Hornbacher. She's a video artist, like super active in the early
Mm.
2000s and in 2010. Like she was like, she teaches at Alfred for a while, like new media,
Mm.
uh, super badass, and like
Mm.
her her son is one of the producers of Mad Men.
No way.
Uh,
Okay. Wow.
yeah,
So she's
yeah.
pretty old.
So
Like if her son
yeah, yeah, yeah.
produces Mad Men, she should be like in her 70s or something.
No, she is. Yeah, yeah. So I was helping her
Okay.
out a lot, like with like installing things in the room. Like she worked with like a lot of projection mapping and
Mm.
using
Mm.
like videos to just kind of create environments, and they were super super interesting, but also like yeah, I was like her hands in the studio, and she would just
Okay.
like yeah, told me like, oh, this has to be moved like 5 inches higher, and I was like, okay, it's like reinstalling the projector and all that stuff. It was like right out of undergrad too, so it was a really cool
Mm.
experience. But yeah, she mentioned that. But
Hey Sergio, so to start off the conversation, I've always been very curious about your fashion sense. Like, is that kind of connected to your work? Like, are you relating like your artist persona with the work at all?
I mean, I think that, there's always a persona. I don't think I do it like consciously as like, oh, I'm gonna be the weird, the one with the weirdest thing on the room. But I like, something eccentric, and also maybe something that like looks a little bit timeless.
Mm,
I really like clothes that don't have any patterns or images, which is funny because like I recently had this show in Toronto, and I have a friend that lives over there, and he's a designer. He does a lot of bags and kind of like unorthodox clothes. So for this
mm.
last exhibition, we did a release of 10 bags that were
Oh,
made.
no way.
Yeah,
Whoa.
yeah, I'm really happy with them. Let me see if I have a
Hey,
good.
yeah, can you share your screen or something real quick? Can we look at it?
Yeah, let
Um,
me. Well, I can show you the bag. I think it's around here.
Okay, yeah.
I can just tell I'm gonna really want this bag. And it's gonna
Well,
be
they
really
are.
hard because I won't be able to have it.
No, I'm thinking. It's a.
Oh, is it the Cosmos?
Oh,
Yeah. So
wow.
it's
Oh
like
my gosh.
like
Oh, it's
Oh, wow.
beautiful.
yeah. So it was printed with like the star pattern that I have in like a couple of pieces, and also like the inside is that like really
Mm,
intense vermilion color.
mm.
Well, it's kind of like this sack. It's like made by like two squares, and is the bag that actually I had it's in Skowhegan that I lost there. I left there.
Oh,
Oh,
no, really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know what happened, but I think that I went upstairs. I had the bag with me, and I went upstairs to check on if I haven't left anything. And then somebody stopped me, and I had to help them, I think, carry something downstairs. So I put my back down, like in that space in the middle where like there was like the towels in the upstairs area.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I don't think I got it because then later on I went, to New York with Ilya and was there for a while. And then when I finally got home, I was like, oh, I don't have this bag. Like it's one like the only
Mm.
thing that I'm missing.
But what is in there? Nothing. It was just empty.
There were actually a couple of things that I lost.
Mm.
There was like this like ring that Nikki had given me, my
Oh,
partner.
no. Mm.
Yeah, it was like made with like the end of like like a silver spoon that
Mm.
her grandfather had turned into a ring. It was like super cool. Uh, but I still have it in a different way. Like I at some point commissioned a friend to make a painting of a hand holding things, and
Mm.
the ring is in the hand. So
Oh, oh,
even though
yeah.
it's not there, it's
Yeah.
but so yeah, I've been wanting to remake it for a really long time because
Hmm.
it's such a like cool utilitarian, it's like super simple, just kind of like a sack.
Right.
And then whenever I had this opportunity going up there and just reconnected with Robert, I proposed to him the idea like, hey, let's, try to make this bag again, but now I have the materials for you to use. And yeah,
So, hey, so the material is actually like you printed on it, or is it a digital print that he worked with?
no, I printed on it. Like it's actually the
Oh,
card
okay.
pressed against.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So then like I sent him all the fabric and the fabric got sent back to me because of reasons. And then that day, a friend was moving from Texas to Toronto, like serendipitously, and he drove all the way up with a bunch of
Mm.
stuff and work, and he stopped in Atlanta, and we hang out, we saw the show that I had with the GA, and then I was like, hey, by the way, like I have this box that has to make it to Toronto.
Mm.
He brought it, yeah, all the way up there.
Wow. Um, yeah, it seems like it's like the next frontier for your work, right? Like,
I
yeah.
think with things like that, I mean, like I also like I make objects, and I like vessels, and in like a lot
Mm-hmm.
of ways, I think this bag feels like an extension of that. That maybe
Mm-hmm.
can work differently with the body, maybe something that you kind of like
Right.
carry like every day.
Right.
But I think that maybe something like differently, like I feel like I'd have to do it the right way.
Right.
If not, I don't want to just feel like force or have like an image in a shirt or something like that.
Right.
Like that I like when things can play into the structure of things, and I think with this one, it's almost like you're holding this thing, that is like a container of things, but it also feels like this interesting metaphor.
Oh, actually, I wanted to ask y'all something because I was looking at Ivan's work with the prosthetic objects that are like you also make things that the body has to activate and that can be extensions of the body. And I honestly wasn't familiar with that work. So I was just curious, like, is that still part of what you're doing? Like, does that show up in the show at all? I didn't notice any in the show, but maybe it's
Mm.
behind the scenes.
You mean the portable frescoes?
The portable frescoes, yeah,
Yeah.
those are like those two hands that have the
So yeah, but before I go into that, this is
Mhm.
all related. I wanted to
Yeah.
respond to Sergio's bag.
Oh yeah.
A friend of mine that I did my MFA with, Alex Tripp, she talked about how the technology, one of humanity's first technologies it was not it's not as like fancy as people think, but it might be a bag. So we are people who need to like carry things from place to place, and we need our like having a bag, like weaving material, transforming, plant matter that's you know, around us into like
Like seeds and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah,
a
that's
vessel that's able to put things. It's actually one of humanity's first technologies. So that's a really interesting. I mean, it's connected to your work, Sergio, right? Thinking about the cosmos and humanity and
yeah, no,
time.
and I
Yeah.
mean like this idea of like creating a thing that can carry something that is like
Mm-hmm.
shapeless. For example, I think a lot about like liquid, right? In
Mm,
terms of like the actual ceramics that I make with clay. But no,
mm,
it's super interesting. Actually, I have a friend that has a gallery in New York. His name is Carlos Nunez, and he
mm,
currently has a show by an artist named Lucia Riesing. And
mm,
the show is called Glossary or Glossary, and it is actually very much about that. Like there's a book, I forget exactly what is the author of the book, but it was this sort of like anthropological study about like how technology through time is usually associated with like weapons. It's like
mm,
the history of human progress as being like this history of like armaments, and of wars and all that stuff, and this author tries to like kind of like take the focus away from that and say like but like one of the biggest or like discoveries the human did were to carry, to move,
mm,
to kind of channel things in that way, and I thought that was super super beautiful, and I think that
mm.
I think it also relates
And
with both of our
mm,
works. Yeah,
what gallery is that?
it's called Mimo. M.
Oh,
Oh
okay, yes, yes,
yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And
One
this
of my
show.
MFA classmates, Gabriela Moreno, shows with them.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, but to respond to Sally's question, so the portable fresco idea,
Hmm.
it's something that remember Marielle was giving her fresco talk, that lecture, the only
Yeah.
lecture she gave. And
Yeah.
during that lecture, I had this idea like, oh, what about like making a fresco that's a backpack? Because
Yeah.
fresco is always architecture bound.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's a medium that it's used by cultures across the world, right? There are frescoes in not just ancient Greece and ancient Europe that we're familiar with, but there are Egyptian frescoes, there are Chinese frescoes, there are Indian frescoes. I think there are
Mexica, yeah.
Mexican frescoes too. So it's a limestone based painting technique that, like we know, like the reason why fresco is so resilient is that the pigment is bound into the crystalline structure of the stone.
Hmm.
So, but then also like frescoes are always architecture bound, it's location bound. But like, I mean, my practice reflects on like this people group that my family descends from that fled this ancestral homeland. Um, 200 AD onwards, their origin stories are contested. So no one actually knows where they're from, or no one knows exactly when they started fleeing. But yeah, my family history is descended from that people group. So I'm thinking like, what if, fresco people use it to record, religious beliefs, cosmological beliefs, way of life, right? It's painted into the frescoes. But when you flee an ancestral homeland, you lose like all your cosmology, you lose all your visual culture, you lose your religious
Yeah,
or
there's a
moral beliefs.
precarity of like with architecture. There's like a site, there's something
Right.
that anchors it.
Yeah.
Like whereas like in this other way of living, there's like a precarity and
Hmm.
like also like that liminality that I don't know. So you were thinking about those things while making.
So I was thinking like maybe I can make frescoes that a fleeing people group can carry with them. That's why I
Mhm.
started to like work in fresco with the body, because there's a permanence to that medium that I find it really helpful for cultures to preserve themselves. But then if you're fleeing all the time, you want to work with this permanent medium but in a mobile way. So that's the origins of some of those some of those works that you saw.
Yeah.
I actually just wrote a grant. I mean, a fellow. I applied to McDowell with this idea. So hopefully they give me time and the fellowship to work on it. But I don't know if I'll get in, but yeah, I feel like I need to like really dig into this idea. I started to like play around with it, but I don't know. I don't have enough time to like really flesh it out. So hopefully they give me the fellowship and I can go there and make the work.
That's
Well, they should really give it to you.
Thanks.
I
I
hope
mean,
you
a
get
bunch of our friends went, right? Kayla went,
yeah,
Taiwan went, uh,
yeah.
uh,
Yang, right?
Kristen. No, I think Tiang went to Yado.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
question relating to the fresco
Hmm.
because I remember two things. One, I realized all of our studios were like actually really close together,
And
which was
Amir's
really
too.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Second thing I remembered is that both of you, and this was like not true of a lot of the painters, but both of you were like you got into the fresco thing, right?
Mm.
And I was just wondering, like, even if you don't have the facilities to do it, on a daily basis, do you feel like the fresco has that you learned at Skowhegan has influenced your painting, just your normal painting practice that's not fresco? And if so, how do you feel that it's
Sergio, want to
influenced?
go first?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think for me, like, I mean, when I was there, I was experimenting a lot with them as like vessels, right? I was
Oh
Hmm.
looking
yeah, that was so cool.
years
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
even like in like a lot of ways, like similarly to this idea of like this smaller thing that you consume, this thing that is supposed to like carry liquid, that carry like this thing that you cannot um give form to until you
Hmm.
have this mediator, this vessel. And I was looking at this book, it's called Alchemy and Mysticism, and was had like a lot of really incredible illustrations about different ways in which culture have organized this idea of a center or a circle or like the world, right? As this container of information, of life, of complexity surrounded by, this chaos that cannot be named, that is shapeless, right? So that relation between the inside and the outside, like I started doing these like handheld objects that felt like half spheres and felt similarly also to like maybe the inside of the heads of the bodies that I sometimes depict.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, and for me, fresco was a way to like almost think about like the the way that I think I work. I think a lot about like the idea of a substrate. Like I think
Hmm.
for me, the wood blocks are substrates. Like that, in a lot of ways, like they're a place for time and black and white, where it's like color and something like that happens with oil and paint and feels infinite. So it like just really helped me like organize those ideas and also separate them to think about like this almost geological process that happens when you add paint to something, when you're like layering information and layering images that at the end of the day are all equalized in the surface, all equalized in the present, for example. And
Hmm.
that relationship of like in betweenness and of lensing and of layering and like even obscuring too, like says a lot about, I don't know, this filtration and malleability that information has. And um, so to me, like it really pushed me sort of like to think about color in my work in that way.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Cool.
Um, oh, go ahead, Sally.
No, sorry.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to say that Sergio, when you're showing some of these fresco vessels at in the gallery with Eric too. Um, but the thing that struck me about those vessels is that the inside is coated with the fresco, right? And
Hmm.
the painting is on the inside. So the thing that comes to mind, because these vessels are also shaped like food vessels or vessels like they look like bowls or cups, and there's the scale of the vessels relate, I feel like, to hands and the body. And I'm thinking about the modern idea of poison and the ancient idea of magic, because like when we're dealing with fresco, one of the things that we think about is like toxicity, right, with ultramarine, the leads and all that. But in the ancient world, the understanding of poison and magic, it's like, it's interwoven.
It's a
Yeah.
little medicinal, yeah.
Yeah, it's interwoven, and it's so interesting that your work, I feel like, taps into, I mean, those vessels tap into the realm of magic for me because the fresco is coated inside. So when you put water in it and you drink from it, the those elements get ingested. If
Yeah,
it's not poison, then it's the earth.
yeah, no, but also like they're not supposed to be
Oh,
utilitarian.
of course, of
I
course.
mean,
No, no, no.
no, but no, I really like that because like even like this idea of like a cosmology that gets organized and that it's
Mhm.
contained right, and then like these like little fragments that you consume, it almost makes me think about ideology. It's like
Mm,
this worldview that you have, and in like a lot of ways, like you can take little pieces of it, and then like
mm,
in this kind of you're communing with it, and it becomes part of you. Like there, I think there's something there really interesting and maybe like a little dark as well.
yeah.
It's both, this like by either a remedy or a poison, because at the end of the day, we have to learn how to organize reality, like no matter what. We
Mm,
always have needed these vessels. We have so much information that is like all the time bombarded at us, like from like not necessarily just like the news cycle, but just even like light, in our eyes. Like
mm, yeah.
like our eyes themselves have evolved to just look at this like narrow sliver of the electromagnetic spectrum, and that is what is legible, what we
Mm,
perceive, even though there's like a gamma of other things from like X-rays to infrared, gamma rays
mm,
are there present and almost like interwoven in reality. And the more that we have learned to look at those things, also the more that we can decipher
mm,
out, other things like materiality itself. Um,
mm,
so I think it's also something really interesting is how, it all goes back to perception and how that information gets understood, and yeah, I guess like becomes our consciousness.
mm. Um, yeah. Uh, maybe. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Sorry.
No, what would you gonna?
Okay.
What were you gonna ask? Yeah.
Okay, well, I got really excited because I was thinking about just like trying to tap into some unseen force, or just the narrowness of our perception, and just Sergio was thinking about that, and then thinking about you, Ivan, where you're sort of bringing in all these technologies to sort of like image or synthesize your heartbeat. Like,
Mm,
I think there were a few other things that you were using to record your actual body, and trying to see if you can sort of dredge up some sort of knowledge
mm,
about like the Hakka people, and maybe some sort of access to that history that we don't have. Like maybe it lies in the body, right?
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, so I really like that connection. And yeah,
Your own
I'm
body.
just, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say your own body as a conduit for that information.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
It's like what I see it as like a reservoir of secrets. Like
yeah,
everything that we want to know about our ancestors in the past, like
yeah,
there's a limit to what archaeology can tell us or
yeah,
anthropology can tell us, because if it's not recorded, it's gone, right? But I'm beginning to realize that everything I want to know is inside my body. So like the body, whenever we talk about things being held in the body, we think about trauma, right?
yeah.
Generational trauma.
Mhm.
And it's like, scientifically proven it's passed down. But apart from trauma is the thing that, it's so popularized in pop culture, or like the general understanding of the body keeping the score. But
Yeah,
I feel the body also keeps scores of other things like love stories, like deep friendships, um, like experience of the environment, all these other things that I feel like that my ancestors have, experienced is coded in the body. So there's this even in the 19th century, there's this biologist called Ewald Herring, and he talked about how the body, every cell in the body has memories, all the way up its own ancestral line to the very original cell. So yeah, every cell has memories of that. Even in the 19th century, that's something that is widely accepted. So for me, I start to see the body as this reservoir of secrets but the thing is, the ironic part, or the part that pushes back against me as I try to mine it, is the idea that, or the fact that the body, this reservoir of secrets only releases its information in more secrets.
Yeah, it's like super hard. Like, where's the
Yeah.
cipher, right? Like you have
Mhm.
this data, but it's like, how do you read it
And
with
it's
it?
all scrambled.
Mhm.
The data is all scrambled, or it needs some kind of other key to unlock it. You know the data is there, but there's no way to unlock it in, I feel like, what typically is seen as like truth or scientific fact, you know? The body releases these secrets as more secrets. So I'm working with these secrets, and I feel like these secrets are best in, or had the vessel for these secrets, are these like media systems that I generated, that generate 3D graphics based on my heart rate, my body movements. I'm trying to develop something that works with blood sugar too. I have a blood sugar issue because I think my family's just prone to diabetes. Like, I just found out recently that my doctor's like, "Oh, your blood sugar is like borderline high," you know? Like, I'm like, "I'm not drinking 5 sodas a day." But it's just like I'm just genetically predisposed to it, you know? But yeah, and that's the ancestral coming through in my
Yeah.
body. Yeah, so I'm thinking about some of these concepts.
Okay, I have to follow this up because I have a question that I really wanted to ask both of you, because I was sort of reading just the writing that both of you did for the show.
Mm,
And there's this one, well, it's like both of you are trying to access something really elemental with your work, whether it's buried deep inside your body or whether it's like something from the deep past or something that uh, something below the ground. And for Ivan, like I feel like you've really embraced technology as a part of that, right? And like um, you had some like really compelling reasoning for why that makes sense to sort of marry this really these ancient questions that you have with like the latest in like
mm,
3D printing and imaging. And then I was reading Sergio, your like writing referenced technological fatigue. And so I was wondering if
mm,
you feel that you have different relationships to, yeah, like new imaging technologies, or
mm.
I don't know, maybe that's not a contradiction. Maybe there's something you actually share there, but I was wondering if one or the other you wanted to go into that at all. I guess I'm really identifying with a feeling of technological fatigue, which is why I'm like picking up on this. But the writing says Sergio's allegorical dramas are enlivened by pastel bursts and dewy flames of guttural awe, signaling interruptions of awakening out of the dismal malaise of technological fatigue. I don't know. That's what I was drawing on.
I think we were talking about like our relationship to making an image.
Okay.
Mm,
Yeah.
It's like always being something that is like now so immediate, and I mean, like a lot of ways, they say that we live in the age of information, but like there's so much information out there that it's impossible to like navigate. It's
Yeah.
insurmountable. So like at this point, it's more like how like our attention.
Yeah.
And I think that where I was talking about my work was that like I really like how it slows me down. It also
Yeah.
makes my relationship to making an image more physical and not as mechanical and reproducible, even though there's a
Yeah.
factor of that. But it makes me meditate, I think, over like how information filters throughout, and like slowing down that process to see like the gaps and the missing parts, and sometimes also like just like the beauty of it being like a malleable thing. And I mean, there's always like the source, right? At least I think we both in like a lot of ways tap into this idea of a source, right, Ivan?
Mhm.
uh with me, like, there is a material, it's like this idea of time. It's also like, this place that I'm trying to decipher, that I'm trying to like, give form to, like it comes
Yeah.
from also like a place of grief and a place of like loss, and
Mhm.
a place that like was also like mediated by in like a lot of ways my closest ancestor, my mom, uh,
mm,
Yeah.
who experienced this space, and then afterwards came back, and like the what I could do was to maybe it didn't work like in a scientific way. This experience that, for example, like she had was like outside of life, so in like a lot of ways was outside of language, and the only thing that I could do to repeat that experience was to um like almost look at like the parallels that I had culturally with her to like explain like this phenomena, like this idea of like the body as dual, as like substance and like as immaterial and material and this almost like barred like space.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, and I think that all of those things, like now we find like I think a lot in the internet, like how we can go to this other space that feels sometimes like not physical.
Mm.
And we inhabit and our consciousness are there and can move between, I don't know, like a lot of spaces relatively immediately. um but that regrounding, I think, on the material, like I think it really does it for me. It like really reminds me, like of there's accumulation that happens, and that, yeah, like even though there's like a shape, like there's like this shifting like horizon, like none of that ground is like solid. Like, still liminality, I think, is like a really also good way to navigate the world.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Um, for me, um, I mean, like I've always been asked this question. You're dealing with ancestors and family. Why use which is like very warm-blooded, warm topics, right? Pertaining to, the heart. Why are you using something that's like so cold, like technology, right? And it's not just like and it's like very complicated technology that sometimes people feel kind of unaccessible. So this is a question that I've been thinking about in the last 2 or 3 years. So this is like how I'm making sense of it. Um, there's this quote by Arthur C. Clarke, the guy who wrote Space Odyssey.
Mm,
So he said, any sufficiently advanced technology will be indistinguishable from magic.
mhm,
So that when a technology is so advanced or ahead, the boundaries between what is magical and what is technological becomes nebulous. Like you can't really tell anymore. So for me, like I kind of frame my the technological side of my practice this way, where it's like if you replace the the word technology in the original question with magic, so the question then goes like, why are you using magic as a means of tracing or talking about family or ancestry? Is that a valid question anymore?
mm.
Right? Because it's like obviously, right, if you don't know, like at the limits of archaeology, at the limits of anthropology, at the limits of human documentation, when all these fail, you really need magic to kind of retrieve some of these lost information, right?
No, and
So
they're oh no, I was
yeah.
gonna say, and they also like, I think, operate like in a similar way, but like they're both reality interpreting systems.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, yeah, or they harness things from the real world and then produce something that's more than real.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's how I see it. And then there's this other writer that I like. She's a AI artist, theorist, Johanna Zelinska. She talks about how like human beings as a species emerged alongside our technology. So we would have emerged as a species without our technology. So we're known as the species that's like that's making technology, that we make technology. So um like the way I think about how that traces back in to my ancestors is that I'm using technologies today that's like 3D graphics, real-time media systems, motion tracking, motion capture, these are the technologies that I'm using in my art practice, but their technology might be fire, might be a bag, might be a certain kind of cooking or certain kind of
Language,
processing.
storytelling.
Yeah, storytelling or poetry.
Mhm.
Um, um, and how we're actually connected through this shared use of technology. It then I describe it as almost like a spinal cord. It helps me like talk to them.
Mhm.
My use of technology helps me experience the world like they do, just that the technology is different. Yeah, I see it as like almost like a spinal cord. And I heard this poet or like this artist talk about poetry being one of the most resilient forms of data storage that humanity has. So you embed ideas into poetry, into song, and it's like it's around for a long, long, long time.
Yeah, it's
Songs
amazing.
can be, yeah, songs can be passed down like generations after generations, but our hard drives, it hasn't been proven yet how long,
No, it's so
uh
fragile. It's so fragile. I mean, even
super yeah,
like events, like I don't know, I mean, like the elements themselves. We also
right.
forget how crazy painting as a technology is and how
Mm-hmm.
advanced. I mean, you're crystallizing,
Mm,
materials that then like make the appearance of something, of color, of
right.
depth. Um, but no, I really like what you're saying about like technology and magic and language.
Mm,
Like I think that I really like the work of Federico Campana, who's been recently one of my favorite writers. And
mm,
um, for him, technology is very much like how we code things into language. He says that like right now we think of ourselves as like being like super technologically advanced because there's like
mm.
a new iPhone every year and like airplanes and stuff like that. But like he said that like one of the most the time periods in humanity where technology advanced like the fastest was in the invention of language.
Mm,
Because like again, and it did. There's like a lot of theories that also talk about how it did came from a place of music and a place of rhythm and a place of, this like complete chaotic. I don't know, like the sounds of nature, right? Everything, but then they're organized into tempos, then they're
mm,
organized into melody, and then you can carry a melodic line that helps you like navigate reality or like the seasons and there's like this aspect of the way that it unfolds in time but also like the way that it can be preserved in verses and like smaller spaces of time
mm,
and then you have I guess the poetic too, right? That the poetic is something that is like not necessarily like so rigid as
mm-hmm,
even like written word. I mean, like poetics can be so many different things. It helps so much with the process of abstraction as well. Like it's like your horizon or your what's it called, atardecer, like your sunset. It's not my sunset. It's not in
mm,
so there's like this like aspect of like subjective reality that has like room for information to permeate each other. Whereas like in
mm,
other places where like there's like written word, there's
right.
oh it's this one thing, and then as you get farther away from that thing embedded in writing, then it's not the same or it's interpreted and there's like all these different slippages and then like it's fraction
Mm-hmm,
like what the meaning is when instead like you have this almost like really beautiful vessel that can shapeshift.
mm,
And then those ways are like taken account like change and also like
and
how
context.
emerges context.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm,
And
yeah.
it like they're like shape shifting and they can also give way to the ineffable as well, because there's
Mm-hmm,
a lot of things in this world that I think also like cannot be understood through language. It's almost like and they're real. It doesn't mean like they're not. And I think right now we live in a time period where like sometimes you cannot name it. You don't think that it might be valid or real, which I think comes back to your idea of like interpreting like this family thing through magic, or through science or through technology. Technology has this kind of like hierarchical point where like it is the absorption of the unknown into language.
mm,
you
Hmm.
know, you're making that legible, like all that information. For example, you're talking about like bringing into like a way to read to code, like it's passing that threshold between like this unknown and this known. And then you know I think that's so interesting because it also like it's not just but at the end it's not so rigid.
Mm,
Um, it's a painting, and it's playful, and it's also like, I don't know, I see like your work, and I also feel like it's you, and it's, yeah.
right.
Yeah, it's like I think a lot about how like a painting or a sculpture is a speech act, right? Like, but then to
Mm,
circulate in the world, it has to be sort of packaged in a lot more speech, right? In a lot
mm.
more language, even though it's already a speech act. And I guess I just feel really grateful that we at the residency that we got to know each other through the actual objects that we made, and um, of course we spoke about each other's work, but I feel really grateful that we had that experience of like, okay, we're in the same place,
Mhm.
and I don't know, I just remember. Sorry, I'm getting all nostalgic.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
But I remember like Sergio, you were like, "Here, come in, Sally," like, and you were working on this big painting where um, you were like removing material to make the marks, and you were like, Sally, take this tool, make a mark, and you just let me like remove material from your painting, and I thought that was so cool. Um, anyway, and I'm just gonna go on my nostalgia kick for a second, but I just wanted to ask you. Do you feel like Skowhegan is far away, or do you feel like it just happened, and or somewhere in between? Maybe Sergio.
Yeah, I think whenever I think about it, and I have, for example, these conversations, like I feel like it's so, like it just happened, like, I don't know,
Mm,
this last summer. But then
Yeah.
I think the time that actually has passed, and just like things that have happened in between, and I realized that, yeah, like it's been what, like 2.5, almost 3 years.
No.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Two
Oh,
years plus. Yeah.
two
Plus, yeah,
plus
but
years.
also I have met other people that have gone to, for example, 2024,
Yeah. Yeah.
5, and
Yeah.
like also know like through other people, and then like this experience also like feels like it's like continues, like it's
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm. For me, it definitely feels like some time has passed. I
Yeah.
think that first year after so 2023 through middle of 2024, it felt like the spillover from that was so intense.
So intense. Yeah.
Yeah, that like you feel like you're still, even though you're apart, you still feel like in community with people. But
Yeah.
I think what happened was, I think when the like, and then you see that 2024 class, and then the 2025 class like graduate, it
Yeah.
does feel like, oh, it's a little bit like there's some distance from that experience. But the relationships that when you
Mhm.
like, there are people that I still talk to regularly, that's
Yeah.
from that 9 weeks, like regularly, as in like every 2 weeks,
Yeah.
That's like more than a lot of my other friends.
That's like more than certain relatives that I
Yeah,
have. Yeah.
yeah. So, like people like Haiwen and Mikey and Tiang,
Yeah.
I text like pretty regularly, and then also Sergio, because of the show, we've been like texting pretty regularly,
Yeah.
And then whenever you see someone like in person. And then also whenever I go to New York, I'll see Jonathan, so it's like we make effort to like be together,
Yeah.
and it is like really special. It feels like really special, Whatever relationships that come out of
Yeah.
that 9 week experience, it feels like really deep. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I find it like near and far at the same time.
Yeah.
Hmm.
How
Interesting.
do you feel, Sally?
It feels really recent. I don't know. I don't. When you said it was 2 years ago, uh, I had like an internal freak out, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
probably go deal with it after a week. Because that's crazy to me. But
Yeah.
yeah, um, I don't know. What do you think? Is there something I'm noticing that we have like not that much time left? Uh, is there anything you want to talk about? Like your favorite Skowhegan memories? Something about the show you're really excited about
Hmm.
or that you want people to know or how are you feeling? Was this very broad? I guess it was a pretty broad question. Okay.
Mm.
I guess I don't know, is there a piece that you're most proud of in the show that's up right now?
I really like the piece that Ivan has that is next to the main work like the main room in the front.
Oh wow.
The orange and blue were,
Let's
Mhm.
see.
yeah.
Is it orange and blue? Okay. How did you feel about like how it all came together? How the work meshed together?
I think we're it's like there are only so few people that like make sense that I have a group like a duo show with.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like Sergio and I make really good sense together
I feel
because
like
we're
even,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, even if the work feels like different, like I think that there's this thing that ties it together, and that also like I think that all the conversations that we had, they lead me wanting to go back to the studio. They
Hmm.
leave me wanting to go and like I don't know, like scratch an itch that was ignited through
Yeah.
conversations we had, and then
Hmm.
some more.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. Like I got a big fresco project in Ohio. So
Woo!
yeah, it's like rare. It's 55 feet. It's
A
Wow.
Yeah.
fresco?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah. So
my
I'm
gosh.
like it's due in March. So I'm gearing up. I'm like waiting for, funding to come through to get approved and and then I'll start making. But meditating. One of the main meditations of that piece is conversation with Sergio about wood. Remember we talked about meteorite? So
That would have
one of my the things that I paint with in fresco is meteorite. So there's way to there you can buy ground meteorite as a brown color. And I've been like, using meteorite in my work, in my frescoes as a means of like merging, the metaphoric or symbolic merging of heaven and
cosmic,
earth.
yeah, with the
Yeah.
material,
Yeah. But then in that, my enamorment with meteorite, Sergio offered me a counterweight,
like an
which is,
inside, yeah.
yeah. So Sergio said like, hey, do you know that wood is actually one of the rarest materials in the universe?
No.
Meteorite, meteorite is like rare on Earth, but if you flip your perspective and you see it from the cosmic angle, like the whole universe,
The complexity, yeah. It's like there's so
meteorite
much
is
hydrogen.
everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah, meteorite is everywhere, but wood is like ultra rare because it only occurs, as far
it,
as we know, on Earth.
as far
But
as we know, yeah.
so wood is actually this like I mean on Earth is this like throwaway material. It's so abundant,
This,
but
yeah, things made out of wood are like cheap, or it's
Mhm.
weird because then have stone and metals and gold, even like
But wood is actually like stone, like mineral, metal, gold is far more abundant in the universe than wood, which is like such an interesting kind of, it's almost like you take off it's almost like you've been blindfolded and then suddenly you see. So my fresco project will feature like wood in it too. So yeah, like
the
thanks.
pigment.
Um, Say that again.
Are you gonna turn into a pigment?
No, I'm gonna probably gonna burnish wood or like just because I paint the way I'm working now is that I would do I the fresco sits in a wooden housing, which is a CNC, like the CNC router goes through it and then it produces like pockets for the fresco to sit in. But I've always like tried to cover up the wood, because the wood is like not important. But now I think I want to find a way to make the wood like more front and center or equal, like more like equal playing field or equal importance or in terms of hierarchy with the fresco and the meteorite because it's like wood is worthy or deserving of at least that, you know? So I think in our studio conversations, like you said, after talking, you're itchy to make work, right?
It
Same,
also
like I
like
had this moment. Yeah.
it also like something that came to me like a little bit later is that like what you're doing with like you reading the data of your body and of your like all these different things from your heartbeat to
Mm,
humidity and like wood, like the grain of wood is very much also something that is
mm,
related to that because it's
alive.
this alive thing that could keeps a
Mm,
record of its own
oh
experience
yeah.
and also yeah so
Just through like the rings and the knots in it and things like that. Yeah, yeah,
and you
yeah.
could see like if like there was like a year that had like more rain or like
Mm,
less and like
right,
it changes, it becomes more compact or
right.
expands, and there's also something where like it also keeps that mark,
Mm,
a trace.
yeah. And it seems like the wood is like in some of the wood is because of its the tree's lifespan is longer than humans. It just
Mhm.
records more things, or that maybe it's the way that human beings have treated, you know, we will just like cut down a tree, right? And you almost like dissect the tree and you see some of these remnants or like see the things that it's recording, but we just don't treat human bodies the same way or that we don't have act well. It's just it's just a different way of engaging, but the wood
Oh,
kind of
totally.
shows itself to us really readily, like the history that's embedded in it. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for that. I will go and chew on that. Yeah, it's so true. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such an incredible material. I mean, to me, like like I feel like sometimes it's whenever I'm doing the first layers of ink, like it does become this kind of like collaboration with like the
Mm,
information that is there already, like
right.
in terms of not even where like horizons or parts of the composition like follow like a particular line or like
On the wood grain, on your wood cut. Mm,
uh, um
yeah.
then for me it's like the first couple prints whenever like you can still see like the grain, is like something also super special. Like it feels like there's almost like a layer of atmosphere or like of or like I'm carving the things that
Mm,
are like solid, but then like the air,
mm,
it's like that grain of the wood, like almost like this atmosphere that is in every
mm.
um
So, so if I may follow up on what you just said, do you feel like as your um like a lot of your compositions sometimes is also by chance because you're looking at what the wood gives you?
yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah.
like I get, I mean, it's almost like, I have this picture plane that in like a lot of ways is also a container. And then,
Mm,
I can do so much with it because either there's something that is like so visible that I have to collaborate with,
mm-hmm,
or sometimes, it's just like there and maybe it's like this unconscious thing that like makes,
mm,
set things in a particular way.
mm,
Sometimes it's interesting because the printing, sometimes I see things that I did not know about the wood itself, or
the
it's
surface,
more like a
yeah.
technical thing, but sometimes
Mm.
there's like a void, so then you in the print you see that there's this area that is like light
Ah,
or this thing that is, and I have to like either address it or just let it be, and
so
that's
the
what,
void inside the plywood.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. But the pressure like makes it show up, you're saying.
Totally, yeah, yeah, because it's
Hmm,
not,
I see.
there's like not the same amount of pressure on the.
Hmm, okay.
Mhm.
Wow. Yeah, that's so yeah, that's so beautiful. It's like
There's a lot of
uh
involved too as well, like
mm,
yeah, I mean, that's what I think. Like, I really enjoy the title because there's something about, intention and this thing that I don't know. I think especially with you with painting, like there's like that part where like you are crafting an image, but also like you are allowing for that unknown to seep in,
mm,
and that is something that I don't know, like feels alive and
yeah.
like also like outside of our control and our agency. I think like a lot of the times, like especially I don't know if there's something that is like also from the right now where like there's like I don't consider myself a process artist, like a process-based artist, but I think a lot of the process informs how I
Mm,
engage with my work, and how I
mm.
read afterwards. Like it's not like this intention that has to be like realized or
Right.
actual.
It's a conversation, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and I feel like recently I was talking to my brother-in-law um about like, artists being able to the importance of an art education because you're able to hold like you're able to react or respond quickly to a decision. You don't have to like, or that it trains you to be nimble and flexible in your thinking because you're reacting to situations constantly. And then also like being able to hold like be okay with gray or nebulousness. I think that's
Mhm.
something that we traffic in every time we enter the studio. It's this like nebulousness that you're trying to work with or mold or just let it be. So I find that really just the bread and butter of what we do.
No, I think
Yeah.
so too.
Yeah. Okay.
I love that place to end on. Feels like a really, I feel like that's the most important thing is just you can exist in ambiguity. And
Mm,
I feel really grateful that we learned to do that in our work.
mm, mm.
Um, should we say goodbye?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do it. Thank
Oh,
you so much, everybody, for being here.
Thank you.
yeah. Thank you. Y'all are awesome. The show looks
Sally, yeah.
cool. What's that?
I said no. Thank you so much as well, Sally, for being the mediator, and it's also so great to like catch up and have this conversation. And yeah, uh is anything that anybody wants to say of something they're excited about in the future, or
Yeah, Sally, you have this show, right? Coming up.
Oh yeah. I think it's in San Francisco, and I
hey,
think it's in January. It's actually I feel like it's a little too soon to announce it.
Okay.
You
you
know,
heard it here first.
I'm like
Okay.
sort of very not suspicious. What is that? Superstitious
Okay.
about art
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
I'm always just
Okay.
like it's not gonna like until the day before it happens, I'm like, I don't think this is happening. But
So
I
you're in the
And you want to
gallery.
just
Yeah.
what's that? What?
you want to just like keep people sufficiently informed but still intrigued. Dropping some tidbits, right?
I
There,
love the
Sally has a
tidbits.
show in San
I
Francisco in
have a show in San
January,
Francisco,
but
guys.
no one knows where it is yet. It's not announced yet.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. I promise that you will be the first people to know. And
Sounds good.
I'm just a weirdo. I'm sorry. What
It's
about
okay.
you guys? What's next? Anything you want to share?
How about you, Sergio? How did the Canada Toronto show go?
No, it was really awesome. It was yeah, really amazing to go hang out in Canada. I was hanging out actually with Carlos Bielma.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Right.
he just moved to Toronto. Um, his partner, Aide, is studying her PhD in political sciences over there. So
Mm,
he moved, and yeah, I mean, but the show was really like I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I think that
mm,
it was this conversation with between objects, painting, and then the woodcuts, and um, it was really great working with them as well. So I'm really excited to as it unfolds to see what people reactions are, and also like yeah, for it to be there, and I'm also really excited to not have a super immediate deadline come up, and
mm,
it's like be in the studio a little bit, like enjoying like experimenting and enjoying, yeah, like not to have a deadline, but also like play around with some stuff that I think especially through like these last conversations and this last year, like I
mm,
think that there's tangents that I have opened up, and now I kind of want to follow them.
yeah.
Yeah, what about
Um,
you?
I, I just stay on Sergio a little bit. Just looking at how much Sergio has done over the 2 years, I'm like, how are you even awake right now?
How are you? How are you still moving?
Yeah, I would be like in bed like all the time.
No, that's what I'm excited to do. Like this literally like couple of weeks, just like lay back down low, hang with the cats,
Yeah,
and yeah.
yeah. For me, like I said, it's mostly this like big fresco project. And then I haven't shown in Singapore in like a number of years, you know. So I have two shows coming up in Singapore, which I'm like excited to like show there again. I think since I moved to the US, I've shown there like twice, you know. So it's nice to like I mean, the relationships are still alive, you know, like with curators and dealers and things like that. But yeah, I just like haven't really shown there very much. I really focused on, you know, learning in my MFA program and also like showing here, and also some other opportunities. But yeah, I'm excited to show in Singapore again. So there's a show in December and a show in March. So I'll be working on the fresco and then making these two shows. Um, yeah, feels like a lot, but
You can
we'll
do it.
see. Yeah,
Yeah. I feel
yeah.
like showing in the place where you're from is so meaningful.
Where are you from, Sally?
I'm from San Francisco.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm just like, man, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. You know, it's um
yeah.
like better than showing in like a huge place somewhere.
Hmm.
It just means a lot.
Yeah,
Um
and it's like the people understand your work in a different way, I feel.
yeah.
Yeah. Or that it's a different lens from North America. You know, I feel like my work is like contextualized differently or received differently there. So I'm a little anxious about that, but you know, we'll just just see what happens. Yeah.
Well, we'll do another pod just
Yeah,
to,
great.
make sure they're on the right track.
This is your first episode of your new side hustle, interviewing artists.
Yeah. Man, I do need a side hustle, so yeah, absolutely. I'm
Hey,
available.
all we
I
have to
gotta work
do
on my
is
flow
open up
though.
a YouTube channel.
What?
What we have to do is open up a YouTube channel, turn this into a podcast. It's like,
Yeah.
it could be Ivan, interviewing, or I can interview, or Sally can interview.
Yeah, and we can be in
Like,
like
or like a
the
decentralized podcast or an
Yeah,
interview.
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah. I'm picturing sort of I feel it needs to be in the room where Sergio is sitting now.
Yeah.
Oh,
And we
okay.
need like two very modern, like brightly colored armchairs and like a neon
Like
sign.
this.
And like we're all like lying in the armchairs with blankets and tea and we just talk.
That'd be so nice.
Yeah, and cats. Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah. Okay, well, I gotta go, but I'm glad we figured out our future side hustle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Y'all are
awesome.
amazing.
You guys are amazing.
Y'all are amazing. All right, everybody. Have a good night.
Okay.
Have a good
See
night.
you.
I'll text
Bye.
you. Bye bye. Good luck with the end of the show.
Thank
Bye.
you.